Did you know there are only enough Arizona State Troopers to patrol 2 out of 15 counties after midnight? Find out why DPS is underfunded and understaffed and how they're trying to fix the problem. Plus, a former Channel 3 anchor is venturing into the Arizona prison system, trying to bring art behind the fences. And are you getting enough sleep to lower your risk of heart disease? It's all that and more this evening on Broomhead. Welcome, I'm Mike Broomhead. Before we jump into today's interviews, let's take a look at some of the top stories. The U.S. Navy is working to expand their drone usage by expanding their partnership with a Colorado-based aerospace company. The goal is to make delivery missions less dangerous. Take a look at how the advanced drones are aiding the Navy.
The XP4, fully autonomous, takes off and lands with the click of a button. We're able to take off and land without a runway.
What you're seeing now could be the future of the U.S. military drone system. Vertical takeoff and landing technology, courtesy of Dynamics, an unmanned aircraft builder out of Colorado Springs.
We can go and operate out of any austere location, whether it be up here in the mountains in Colorado, or on the deck of a small or a large ship, or even the deck of a small ship.
Dynamics' breakthrough technology is the first of its kind. And what makes this drone, the XP4, so unique is its wings. When folded in, it allows the drone to take off vertically like a helicopter. But once airborne, those wings take less than 10 seconds to unfold, making it soar like an airplane.
The compact nature of the aircraft will make such a big difference operationally, not just for the military, but also commercial applications.
Dynamics just announced a $4.6 million contract expansion with the U.S. Navy to develop a fleet of these unmanned drones. When a battleship, aircraft carrier, or other vessel is deep out at sea, it can be costly and dangerous to use pilots to transport necessary equipment back and forth. Enter the XP4, which can be used to shuttle that gear for a fraction of the price without putting sailors in danger.
Right away you see it's a very small operating ground footprint.
The CEO also envisions a future where the drone is used to deliver medicine to remote locations or carry out covert recon missions.
Where you can truly go bring anything from anywhere to anywhere on demand and do it in a safe, economical way. That's going to unleash all kinds of opportunity, both for saving the world for democracy and for us and our allies.
Dynamics is already nearing completion of its much larger aircraft, the XP5, capable of lifting 50-pound payloads and delivering for much farther distances. They expect first flight to be by the end of the year. For News Nation, I'm Alex Capriello.
Dynamics is also expanding its partnership with the U.S. Air Force and many U.S. allies. Now, a new study finds just 3 nights of sleep deprivation can increase risk of heart disease, even in young and healthy adults. This study comes at a time when heart disease is the leading cause of death in the U.S.
The new sleep study focused on 16 healthy young subjects with good sleep habits. Their meals and activity levels were strictly controlled in a sleep lab. In one session, the subjects got 8 hours of sleep for 3 consecutive nights. In the other session, they only slept for about 4 hours each night. Researchers measured 90 proteins in the blood. They found inflammation that can lead to heart attacks, strokes, and blood vessel damage rose after the 3 sleepless nights.
Our adrenal glands will kick in and will release cortisol and stress hormone that if the body is basically bathed in over time, it's going to have long-term cardiovascular and other effects.
Doctors say the study shows how important getting enough sleep is for cardiovascular health, even early in life. Another key finding in the study, exercising. It definitely helped lower risk factors in the blood for heart health in the sleep-deprived. That said, doctors don't recommend exercise as a replacement for sleep.
It kind of makes sense that as a short-term strategy, you might combat sleep deprivation with some light exercise, though I wouldn't put that in its place, obviously.
Coming up, the pay scale for Arizona State Troopers remains low, and because of that, the department has become understaffed. How does the department manage with low resources, and what are they doing to fight for more? Find out when Broomhead returns. It's important to recognize and thank the fine Arizona men and women who are serving in our country's military. One of the ways we like to do that is through a segment called From Arizona for America, and it's brought to you by my good friends at Sanderson Ford. So join me in honoring Intelligence Specialist Second Class Grayson Thompson, a native of Phoenix, Arizona. He's aboard the Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer USS Benfold in the Philippine Sea. For a list of more of our friends and neighbors that are from Arizona for America, just go to the Broomhead tab at cw7az.com. Police agencies around the state are struggling with staffing issues, and it's the same for the DPS. Joining us is Jeff Hawkins, president of the Arizona State Troopers Association. How serious are staffing issues for troopers in Arizona?
Well, it's serious enough, Mike, that we don't cover 13 of our 15 counties at night. So from midnight to 5 in the morning, there isn't a trooper on the freeway in 13 of our 15 counties.
So are the two counties Maricopa and Pima?
Those are the two that are covered 24 hours a day.
But the rest of the state, even Flagstaff, up in that?
All of I-40, majority of I-10, almost all of I-17 are not covered by troopers at night. That's troopers that deal with interdiction, impaired drivers, that would respond to crashes. Currently, what happens is you get called out in the middle of the night to come take a crash up in, let's just say, the reservation or up in northern Arizona on 89A. It may take them an hour, hour and a half to get to you because there's nobody actively patrolling.
Well, and the issue with Arizona is known as the fentanyl superhighway. If we all know that there's times from midnight to 5 in the morning or whatever the time frame is that you're not on the roads, certainly the cartels know this.
Yeah, Mike, they're a billion-dollar organization. You know that they're watching to see when troopers finally go home at night or leave the station. Who knows how much fentanyl is going through our country from midnight to 5 in the morning. If you get it to I-40, you're going to get it to the rest of the United States. So that's the key.
When you look at the valley, because that's what I think of first, because we live, in Phoenix, the massive, just in the time I've been here, with the 60, the 101, both 202s, the 303, the extension of the 202 to the I-10, with everything that's gone in, have we added any troopers at all?
No, we haven't added one trooper. We really haven't. Someone called and said I should correct my statement, right? They said that they added 25 positions when they added the 202. We've never filled those positions, so I don't really see that as an addition, right? So
it's allocated, but it's not filled.
We never filled them, right? So currently the 202 new extension isn't covered by a trooper at all. We have no one to patrol out there. So they're just responding to calls as they come out. So no active patrol. So, but you're asking, since the mid-90s, we've added 5.5 million people, almost 6 million registered cars, but not one additional trooper. We've maintained a 1,500 cap for that many years.
When you look at that, is it because of pay? Is pay an issue? What's the reason that they're not able to fill the positions you have open? Never mind adding, but not filling the positions that are open.
Yeah, good question. It's twofold, right? One is pay. Currently, we're 18th in pay in the state. The other one is the decision to change our pension system. For our newer troopers and new officers and newer deputies, the pension system is just a 401k. And anybody can take their 401k and move wherever they want in different jobs, right? So they really have not done a good job making it attractive for the type of dangerous work that we do. So pay, benefits, the pension. At DPS, we only offer one ancillary benefit in an industry where they pay for shift differential, for bomb squad pay, for canine pay. The list goes on and on. We have parental leave. That is the only benefit that we currently offer.
And the cost to the taxpayer, because it's elite training, and I can't imagine what it costs to train a new trooper, but you give them this elite training, they're attractive to other agencies that pay more, so they spend a short amount of time as a trooper after you train them, and then they lateral move to another agency. Isn't that right?
That's correct. $202,000 is what it takes to train a trooper. We've had almost 300 leave in the last 3 years. That's $63.5 million that have walked out the door. And we thought sharing that number with legislators would be an eye-opener. But still, 63 million walking out the door and asking for 35 million pay raises still has not been an easy conversation.
This is what's happening here in the state of Arizona, and it is becoming critical for trooper safety, but also for public safety. So it's time to start talking to your legislators. We'll be back. Coming up, kids cheating on tests isn't new, but the way in which it has become easier is the latest challenge for educators. Find out how schools are trying to combat cheating when Broomhead returns. In a moment, we've got something very interesting about challenges of AI. But first, it's fire season in Arizona. It happens every year. As a matter of fact, in the Tonto National Forest, they've already put restrictions in place, and they may get even tighter as the summer goes on. If you're new or you're visiting, these fire restrictions are really a big deal because having chains on a trailer, as a matter of fact, or as an example, if you're dragging chains on the freeway, just the spark from those chains can cause a wildfire. We know from the big fires we've already had in Arizona, they can be extreme. When I moved here in the mid-90s, the Rodeo and Chetasky fires in the White Mountains almost overran the town of Show Low. Heber and Overguard were affected dramatically, and it burned up many structures. This year in Greer, it's already happened. So pay attention to the restrictions. Be as safe as you can, because I'm telling you, they come upon you faster than you can imagine, and you would be devastated if you were the one that caused those fires. Now, according to International Center for Academy Integrity, more than 60% of university students freely admit to cheating in some form. And with AI easily accessible, schools are looking to combat the technology by going old school, giving students paper and a pencil. Brooke Schaefer from the News Nation has more on that story.
Teachers are going old school when it comes to making sure students don't cheat in class. They're making students write papers and tests by hand. The Wall Street Journal reports teachers are bringing back testing blue books, that packet of papers, usually with a blue cover, where students have to handwrite the answers. The Journal looked at data from campus bookstores at public universities across the U.S. and found sales of these blue books are up 30% at Texas A&M, nearly 50% at the University of Florida. And over the past 2 years, those Blue Book sales shot up 80% at Cal Berkeley. This comes as educators are grappling with how to handle AI's role in the classroom and its impacts. The American Association of Colleges and Universities and Elon University recently asked more than 300 campus leaders about artificial intelligence and how it's changing the landscape. 59% said cheating has increased since these AI tools became widely available. So now it seems some professors and teachers are bringing back those blue books, pen and paper, to try and combat the rise in cheating, while also trying to figure out how to evolve with the ever-increasing use of AI. Brooke Schaefer, News Nation.
Now listen, we know that this is nothing new, whether it was the advent of the internet, cell phones, computers, whatever it is, AI is no different. New technology is far ahead of legislation. Stopping cheaters is always a challenge, and it takes time to catch up with the people that are cheating. Now, is this a good idea to go old school? I don't have a problem with it, but I'm not the one reading the answers to the exams. That's always going to be the question. When professors are presiding over very large classes, do they have the time to go through every answer in every book to make sure that the students answered properly? That's always going to be the challenge. But until legislation catches up and until they are able to find ways to catch cheaters more easily, this may be the only solution. Coming up, former Channel 3 anchor Brandon Lee is making a big impression with his latest endeavors. Find out how he's bringing art into Arizona's prisons when Broomhead returns. Here's a look at some upcoming events that should be on your radar. First up, the Arizona Rattlers versus the Tucson Sugar Skulls, happening on June 14th at 6 p.m. The game will take place at Desert Diamond Arena. Tickets start as low as $21 and can be purchased on Ticketmaster.com. Then, Artisan Alley returns to Westgate, happening on June 13th from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. The Outdoors Market features a large selection of small businesses and food from Westgate favorites. Almost a little bit of a Where Are They Now segment, a face and a name you're going to recognize. Brandon Lee, an anchor in this town for so long.
A long time. Feels like a different lifetime ago, if I'm being honest.
Leaving to do something that really is what you're meant to do. Can you talk about a couple of things? First of all, the studio and helping people with trauma through art.
Yeah, you know, I'm always grateful for my former career and my former life as a journalist of 22 years, most of which I spent as the main anchor here in the Valley. I feel like I have jumped timelines in this lifetime. And really what I tell people is I found my life's purpose through one of the darkest stages of my life in 2020 and 2021. You know, I hit my emotional rock bottom and relapsed in 2020. And that sent me spiraling, but I will say it's the biggest blessing that I've ever experienced in this lifetime, that level of darkness. It got me to explore therapy and art therapy and music therapy. And when I really dove deep into that, I just wanted to help other people who may be in similar situations of level of darkness that I experienced. And I wanted to share that joy with them. And so I quit my job as a news anchor 3.5 years ago, and I opened up the very first Art of Our Soul studio.
Which was beautiful. The original, I was there.
The original,
what
the
you were
little
doing there,
tiny thing,
I was
the
blown
joy.
away I was blown away to see what you were doing. It was incredible work.
Yeah, thank you. It's acrylic pouring artwork. We do hydro dipping. And I think one of the things that had always been missing in behavioral health was joy. And you can heal through joy and building connections with other people. And my little tiny 600 square foot studio was that connection for so many people. And then honestly, about 1.5 years ago, I started working with folks in reentry. They were just being released from prison and they were ending up in my studio after spending 25 to 30 years locked up. And I got to know them and I saw them opening up so much about the traumas that they had gone through early on in their life. And I asked one of them, I said, what if I built one of these inside of a prison? Like, what would that have done? And they said, it would have changed my life.
Wow.
And that gave me the vision to reach out to the director of prisons, Director Ryan Thornell. He's our new ADCR art director and an incredible man, a visionary, a thought leader, a change maker. And I brought him into my studio and I said, I want to build these on your prison yards. And he almost couldn't believe it. And without a hesitation, though, he said, let's do this thing and let's do something that's never been done before.
Well, I'm glad they've changed from DOC
to ADCR.
Yes, because I know it's just words, but focusing on rehabilitation and reentry, because these people are going to be back among us, and if we want them to have a legitimate second chance, we've got to give them an opportunity for that change.
I couldn't agree with you more, right? When the statistics show roughly 9 out of 10 incarcerated individuals, regardless of their offenses, will re-enter our communities after serving their time.
Absolutely.
And so I tell people, don't you want a more healed individual returning back to your community? Even from fiscal policy, if we spend on average $45,000 per year per incarcerated individual, and we invest maybe a couple of $1,000s in proven holistic therapeutic modalities, taking advantage of the opportunity while they're incarcerated to get them the help that they've needed, right? We're gonna have a more healed person going back. But now, let's say they don't reoffend within 6 months to a year. Now we're not spending billions of dollars of taxpayer money just to keep them housed in custody and corrections and in a prison cell. In addition to that, we increase our workforce development, right? And so now they're able to get a job, sustain a livable wage, which also keeps them from reoffending.
Yeah, and gives them a sense of purpose. Before we end this, I want to hear about the documentary. It's released this week. Tell me about it, and why are you so excited about it?
I'm so excited about this because it's called Blank Canvas. It'll premiere on YouTube, so you don't have to have a streaming service in order to watch this, which was hugely important to me. But we take you for the first time that cameras have been allowed inside of an Arizona State prison to really, in Perryville prison in the Lumley unit, to really get to know these women. So many shows that are out there on the Netflix, the Hulus, they're all about talking about the crimes that landed these individuals there. We didn't spend a lot of time on that. We wanted to spend time showing the therapeutic holistic healing modalities, trauma-informed yoga, breathwork, sound bowl healing, art and music therapy, to really show the incarcerated women from a different perspective and showing them revisiting some of their childhood trauma, healing from that, so that when they're released back into our communities, it's about second chances. And it's a story that I don't think has ever been told before, and I wanted to tell it.
I got to tell you, I'm so impressed and amazed at what you're doing. I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing. It's great to catch up on the new life of Brandon Lee, and thanks for sharing it with us.
I appreciate the time and the platform. Thank you.
All right, we'll be back. Thank you to all the guests who joined us on today's show. If you missed any of the interviews or want to rewatch any of them, head over to cw7az.com/Broomhead. Every Sunday here on Broomhead, we ask a new poll question we want you to participate in. This week, the question relates to the topic of sleep deprivation. Do you get less than 5 hours of sleep more than twice a week? All you have to do is head over to cw7az.com/Broomhead to respond to the poll question. Thank you for joining us this week on Broomhead.